I'm excited that you all are here with me. Let me just tell you, Recalibrate is about starting over. It's about giving yourself permission to make another decision. It's about not being stuck where you are, because to be stuck is to say, I'm not sure I have another option, but guess what? We always have another option. And so this podcast is where we explore other individuals' journey with choosing another option. The Recalibrate with Mischa podcast is powered by the Integrity Institute, and I'm happy to have you here with me. So before we get into the conversation, let me tell you a little bit about my guest. My guest is Jamir Smith. Jamir is a once high-end executive in retail and fashion, and he worked on Rodeo Drive. He traveled the world with fashion weeks and fashion shows. And then he pivoted into red carpet interviewing. He is a force. He is a presence. He has a lot of joy. He has a beautiful heart. But he is somebody that everybody wants to talk to. And I want to talk to him because I want to know about his recalibration from high-end fashion to the red carpet. Are you interested? I'm interested, because what he's going to help us to understand is you can be one thing and be doing it really, really well, and then decide that you want to do something else and learn how to do that really, really well also. So let's join this conversation and hear Jamir's recalibration story. I am very, very happy, as I said in my introduction, to have with me my dear friend and brother, Jamir Smith. He is the host of the Jamir Smith podcast. He is a heavily sought after red carpet interviewer. Listen, Jamir has traveled the world. He hails from Durham, North Carolina. However, because of an ever evolving career, he has called New York home. He has called Orlando home. He has called DC home. And now he calls LA home, right? The reason I wanted to talk to Jamir is this: to do as much as he's done in the space that he's done it in and be so successful, he's gotten something about recalibrating right. And Jamir, I would imagine you would agree that you've gotten something about recalibrating right. And when I look at your career, and I can't say the fullness of your career because I don't know all of it. Yes, I've done my homework, I've done my studying, but I've been blessed to intimately be your friend. So we've talked. But I want to, in this conversation, in this moment, I want to explore just what recalibrating has meant for you and all of what you have done. I want to talk about how it felt for you to have to decide. When did you know? Did you get a tap on the shoulder? Did the sky light up and you knew it was time to recalibrate? How does recalibrating come to you? But before I do any of that, because I know that you just are fresh off the plane from 5 days of 32 interviews in Miami, I have got to ask you what you famously and lovingly ask everybody else. And that is, how is your heart?
Oh, first and foremost, I want to say thank you, number one, for taking up space, being able to put your voice and your heart back into the sound waves of this world, right? And thank you for being a friend and being my listening ear, and someone that I can actually just pour, thoughts and ideas, and we can bounce off of each other. I attended, to Miche's point, I attended American Black Film Festival in South Beach, Miami last week. And it was a lot, and it was a lot in a very good way. And I've been having this conversation. It's funny you asked that question. I've been having this conversation a lot the last couple of hours, because of a lot of people from Miami and various places that we connected. And we'll talk a lot about relationships and building relationships.
Well, yes, we
on
are.
this call, but on this conversation. But I will say, my conversation to everyone is prepare and plan. And I posted something today on my social media, the behind the scenes of a new festival, Tribeca Film Festival, that I'll be attending next week in New York City. And I think a lot of people just see the final outcome. They always see the beautiful edits that me and myself and my team does and we put out for the world and everyone loves them. But they don't see what goes into the ahead of time, the emails that are sent, the work, the process, the notes, to your point from earlier, the research about every talent that is a part of, whatever you're trying to do. I did 32 interviews, which when I got back on the plane, I can't believe I did 32 interviews, which is still crazy.
Did it
But
feel like 32 when you were doing them?
absolutely, it felt like 32. Absolutely. Look, I will never lie to anybody. It felt like I was beat up,
Mm.
but I was beat up because of many things, right? I'm not a fan of South Beach weather. I think that's what beat us up. And then also, when you travel with equipment, right? You're not in your hometown. So you have to take into account of I don't have my car and I have to walk many different places. So that means I need to add on additional time with carrying my equipment and setting up my equipment and making sure that everything works, right? But everything flowed perfectly because I love your platform because it allows people to understand what prayer really means and manifestation really means. So I used a lot of that while I was there. And it felt amazing because it was community. It was the 30th year anniversary, and it was nothing but celebrities and talents and writers and filmmakers. And so it was great. It was fantastic.
Wonderful. From a recalibration standpoint, I shared in my intro that you have recalibrated several times. I met you almost 2 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
At Ava
Mm-hmm.
DuVernay's
At
Array Place.
DuVernay's Array Play,
And
yeah.
our energies, our spirits just connected, and we've been connected ever since. At that time, you were, as I said, you were working over at Rodeo Drive. You were an executive at a high-end store. And now you're something different.
Yeah.
Now you are you bring the high end to the red carpet.
Mm-hmm.
And you are heavily sought after to do these amazing interviews. And what I want to know is, how do you know, Jamir, when it's time to recalibrate? How do you know what is that process for you? Because changing one's mind is not always easy.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it's not our decision and it's God's decision, and God says, I'm taking you to another level, I'm taking you to another place, I want to evolve you, we have to at least at some point say yes. So
Yeah.
walk us through your yeses and how you know when it's time to go do that next thing and make a new decision.
I had this conversation at CBS LA on a huge shout out to somebody that we both adore and I honor a lot is Pat Harvey.
Mhm.
And my story started in the third, fourth grade. And it was one of those things of I saw, these magazines that I was obsessed with, like Right On and Vibe and Word Up. And I saw so much history within our community of Black people when it comes to entertainment and music and media that I started creating my own. So I started cutting out, different articles and photos, and I made my own magazine. And I called it something I don't even remember. And so that was kind of like my first moment of like dipping into the media journalism journey. Didn't even know what it was called at that time.
Mm.
And then graduating from North Carolina A&T, I know you touched on North Carolina. A huge shout out to Bull City, my people. And graduated from North Carolina A&T with a fashion and communications degree. And I decided to go the route of fashion. And for me, the fashion felt good. It felt great that I was able to coach and train people on how to make money myself, because I was super successful as a salesperson, and a salesperson meaning that I built relationships with clients as they came in. Why are you shopping? What brings you in?
Mm.
What event are you going to? And I think that aligned me to understand my purpose a little bit bigger, because it showed that I knew how to build relationships. I knew how to connect with people on an intimate level, but I also knew how to get money out of them as well.
Mm. Mm.
And it, with all of those things, it allowed me to know, okay, there's a bigger purpose. I don't know what it is, but God is kind of just preparing me to kind of go through the ebbs and flows of life. And yes, I was on Rodeo. I was in New York. I was in Atlanta and DC as an executive and a marketing director in the fashion spaces. And so I knew that I had that resume. I talked about this earlier to a girlfriend of mine that's going through life. And I said, I knew, and I think you and I have had this conversation. I always felt like I had to prove myself in the journalism and communications world because my fashion world, hands down, was great. I was an executive of some of the top brands in the world. However, I knew I needed to put in the work when it comes to the communication space. And I went in head forward. And
so if I could, just because I want to help those listening
yeah,
to really understand this, because one of the reasons the Recalibrate with Mischa exists is because I believe that so many people get stuck because they are afraid to make the next best decision.
yes.
And rather than take that turn, go in a direction they've never been in, I'm going to sit myself right here. I'm going to park right here and stay in this lane on this road that I'm familiar with. But the stepping into taking a new ramp to something different is essentially what you did here. And so I want you to talk us through, what are you saying to yourself when you know I'm leaving Rodeo Drive and I'm going to take this red carpet thing and I'm going to get on this red carpet? And how did it feel to step on the red carpet for the first time once you made that decision? Take us in that place.
With you, I'm gonna always be honest, and I think I'm always honest with conversations. I will always have a day job, and a lot of people don't talk about that. Robert Townsend had a beautiful interview that he did, and he talked about he worked his day job as whatever he was doing, and then within his breaks or whenever he got off work, then he worked his passion. I think if we're going to have a real conversation, I think the reality of it is people have to understand we're all grown-ups that have responsibilities. We got bills.
That
And
part.
so as the journalism and space is evolving and changing, jobs are as well. And so we have to make sure that we're still making sure that we're taking care of ourselves and our families and our health. So my mindset always goes to my parents. They're always like, make sure you hold on to a job. Make sure you got benefits. Make sure you got a savings. And so for me, it was, I'm going to hold on to some type of fashion job. And within that fashion job, I'm going to make sure that I do well at it. But once I leave, click, it's off. And so also to answer your question, I think people have to take that risk. But also you got to put in that work because I think a lot of people are expecting to be the next actor and filmmaker and fashion designer and red carpet host. But with no training and not telling yourself, I'm just going to do it, then that always is a problem.
Yeah.
We have so many things that are on this computer of ours called a phone every single day that people don't use. If you don't know how to be on a red carpet, Google red carpet host and see who you like. What is your conversation? And you started this interview and conversation off with a tagline of mine. I've coined that tagline. I've now paid for that tagline. Can't nobody else use that tagline. I always come up to every single person. It doesn't matter who you are. I want to always reset the conversation and say, Mischa, with all of the things that you have experienced in your life and the things that you go through and this beautiful moment that you're giving us, how are you in this season of your life and how is your heart?
Can we just pause?
Yeah.
That just gave me goosebumps. And the reason it gives me goosebumps when I hear you say it, Jamir, is because it says that you don't care about what I got on. You don't care about what movie I was in. I'm sorry, you care about those things, but you don't care about those things more than you care about me.
Mm-hmm.
And from a recalibration perspective, I tell people recalibrating is about the big things and the small things. Like I say to people, before you send that text message that you're going to regret 2 hours later,
Take a
take a
moment.
breath,
Take a beat.
recalibrate,
A beat.
check in with your heart. See what you're thinking and why you're so frustrated, right? So
Yeah.
I have so much gratitude for that question and for what it says about you, because, one of the things I wanted to talk about was this. We all know, those of us who live here and have paid any attention, the red carpet territory landscape is territorial, right?
Woo!
Like you got to be somebody special to navigate that world.
Yeah.
But you haven't had to contend with that.
Mm-hmm.
You have managed to beautifully come in and carve out a space for Jamir as a standalone class act who people will disregard the other people on the carpet, because I need to talk to Jamir. Why? Because Jamir gonna say to me, how's your heart? Jamir's gonna remember my mama birthday. Jamir's gonna remember that something is very special to me about, maybe it was something I said in a movie, maybe it was something I said in another interview, and Jamir's gonna bring that to me. So I apologize for going so long, but I just wanted to,
No, I
that how's
appreciate
your
that.
heart question. It's your brand.
And it is. And I think to your point, I've allowed myself to humanize every single person that I meet. And for those 1 to 5 minute conversations that we have on a carpet, I've had so many top celebrities tell me, and it's funny you said that because I said it earlier. You've removed the celebrity for just that 1 to 5 minutes, and you've just humanized the conversation.
Why is that important for you? Why
Because
is
we're
it important for you to remove the celebrity for that moment?
because I think that they're always a celebrity. How do we just humanize them in this small moment to just recognize who they are as a person?
Mm.
And checking in on someone's heart. It's funny how that question that has now been coined for me, people have now elevated that question to, well, I went to the doctor the other day and my heartbeat is on this, because they know I'm going to ask that question. And I remember Malcolm D. Lee saying this past weekend, I was like, how's your heart? And he was like, oh my God. My doctor told me it's at this 120 over so and so. He's like, but I know, Jamir, you were asking about how is my heart, and so I think I love that because so many people know this guy here, me, he's going to make sure that he sees me. Now, we're going to talk about whatever project you're working on or, all of the things, but I remember always making sure that I humanize our conversation and connection. And to what you said, carving out your own lane on those carpets, that has allowed me to gain respect from the carpet colleagues because I think we have to make sure that we are understanding how to build relationships with the Getty teams, with the influencers, the other journalists, because I think there's so many people that walk into these spaces. I got to get the shot. I got to get the interview. I got to get my space. You've worked carpets. I've worked carpets from the major ones to the everyday person. Carpets are small. There are no big carpets that everyone is going to have. This is my individual space. You have to build relationships, and those relationships allow you to get multiple jobs. So,
Yeah. And again, you've done an amazing job with it. I'm wondering, are you ever intimidated on the red carpet?
no, I think that there's a thing whenever I hit the red carpets, when I'm setting up, that nerve kind of goes away because I think that for me, I've met probably every person that I've wanted to meet, and now that I look at the Rolodex of interviews that I've interviewed some really really big names that I've always appreciated their work, and so once I see them in that humanized light versus the celebrity light, my perception changed. If I can mention a name, I think I was able to meet someone that I've had a huge respect for this past week, and I honored her is Miss Lynn Whitfield, and I've always wanted to connect with her. And it's interesting, me living in LA, and I don't because I know she's from New Orleans. I don't know if she lives in LA, and we've never been able to cross paths. And to be able to honor her and to hold her hand, and we had some very intimate, moments together before she spoke on a panel. I was proud that that happened, but that happened because I said, "Thank you for you." Thank you for showing Black girls and Black boys that they can be seen in an elevated space
Yeah.
because that's who she is as a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to talk to you about the joy of you.
Oh,
I have to talk to you about the joy of your recalibration. And why I have to talk about that is this, Jamir. I think that people do themselves a disservice by not submitting to what life is requiring of them. And again, through this podcast, I want to give people the courage to make another decision. I want all of my conversations to really remind people that as long as you have breath, you can always take another pathway. But I don't want to talk about just recalibrating to recalibrate. I want to talk about recalibrating to a place of joy.
Mm-hmm.
And you have done that, right? You bring the joy, like your smile lights up the world. You have this joy about you. So I want to talk about what people are missing when they say no to recalibrating, and how you manage to just stay so joyful all the time. Like, I'm a joy-filled girl, and I believe that's one of the reasons why we're
Yeah,
so
yeah.
close and connected, is because our joy gets to dance with each other. So talk about the joy.
I think sometimes my words come across a little direct, right? And sorry how this is going to come across. So Lauryn Hill made an album called Unplugged, and there was a song or interlude that was on there that said, "Sometimes you have to do some dying," and I think people miss that concept. I understood it in my own words. I had to do some dying, as in peeling back some of the layers in my life that I just was not proud of myself, or I did not show up for myself, or I did not appreciate the work or the commitments and the friendships and the relationships, the work that I put in. So, doing some dying for me means that I needed to spend some time in quiet and do the work figuring out who I am as a person. What do I want in life? What am I trying to accomplish? And
Love it.
also, whose hearts am I trying to fill? And that biggest heart is myself first. And I think that in life, we always make sure that every other person is good first, right? Mothers always make sure that their kids are good and their husband is straight. And, they always put themselves on the back burner or second and third. And in relationships, we always want to make sure our partners are good. And it's like, no, if I'm not a full person myself, I can't show up for you. And
Listen, really quickly, last week, Tabitha Brown, we were at the
oh, yes, 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 yes.
Russell Westbrook brunch,
Mhm. Yeah.
foundation brunch. And one of the things that Tabitha Brown mentioned was that she challenged all of us to ask ourselves, am I living my life? Am I living the life I want to live? And she said exactly what you said. We live our lives for everybody else. We're going to make sure everybody else is okay and everybody else have what they need. But she challenged us to ask ourselves, am I living my life in the life that I want to live? So,
My joy also comes from betting on myself. And I
mm,
think that there's so many people that don't do that.
mm,
And you have to, you know, not you, but take it as you must. You have to become obsessed with you. And that means take the time to do the work,
yeah,
take the time to build the relationships,
yeah.
take the time to really figure out and hone in on what is your you. I had a
Can we talk
conversation.
about obsessed with you? Break that
Yeah.
down, unpack that for me, because of course we know somebody's going to listen and say, Jamir is so full of himself. He's going to
Oh,
sit
I
up
love
here
it.
and
Oh,
talk
I hear that
about
all the time. I
being
hear that all the
obsessed. So let's talk about what you mean
But
in
wait, is
particular.
there a problem? That's the thing. That's the problem. That's your answer. The problem is people are not obsessed with themselves and they take it out on people like me who are obsessed with me. And
Mm,
being obsessed with yourself doesn't mean that you're conceited or stuck up.
yes.
Being obsessed with yourself means that you've done the work of healing. You've done the work of understanding that you are a person that has gone through life like everybody else, but you have now healed from all of the generational trauma, the pain trauma from relationships, work relationships, all of those things.
Yeah.
And I've fully invested in me.
Yes.
So I am so obsessed with making sure that I take the time to reset, as you always say, to recalibrate my
Yes.
mind and my spirit and my
Yes.
heart and all of the
Yes.
things. And so, yes, I do come across to a lot of people, oh, I can't be as, confident as him. Then that means you haven't done some dying. That
Yes.
means you haven't taken the time to really find your heart and say, you know what? Forget all the noise. I'm here for me. I
Yes.
gotta show up for me. So
Yes.
that's what it means.
Yeah, and you know what I love about your point is what I want people to understand. And that is, you call it obsession. Emma Green calls it starting with yourself.
Mhm.
Tab calls it, are you living the life you want to live? Right, 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 right. I call it finding your road to joy. Because if you are not living the life you want to live. And if you are only in service to everybody else, yes, you're going to be miserable and unhappy
Absolutely.
and have a funky attitude and not be living in your purpose.
Yeah.
Because you're obsessed with everybody else, as opposed to being obsessed with yourself and understanding that you matter and you need to be at the top of your priority list, right? And the recalibration of it is, however many times I got to tell somebody no, however many times I have to shut that down so that I can do this for me, it's going to get me closer to joy.
But the thing is,
Go ahead.
you said the no, and you said it now twice. Mischa, people are afraid of no. No is a word, and no is a sentence. That means no, I will not attend that event. No, I don't feel like going on that trip. No, I don't want to go to dinner. And so I am a person that understands, we haven't spoken about this. I know my non negotiables. I know what I stand for. I know when I show up, I'm giving you 180% of me. But also, I know once I'm done, whether it's a red carpet, whether I'm speaking on panels, whatever it is, I have a shut off button because I'm only giving you what I can give you, and then the rest is for me. Yeah. And so that does come across to some people like, gosh, he's really full of himself. And my response to all of them always, and the people that listen to your amazing show, my response to all of you will be, why are you not obsessed with yourself? Yeah. Why are you not investing in you? Yeah. Because you are the only person that matters. Yes, your kids and your family, all of those people matter. But again, if you are not full yourself, nothing else matters.
Yeah. Because nothing else is really going to work. No. You can go through the motions and you can look happy and you can have the high powered job and you can show up in all of the latest fashions. But I know for myself that until you really get to the point where it really is about you and what God has put you here to do, which is why recalibrating is important, because through recalibrating, we get there. We finally get to that place where I am exactly where God has called me to be. And I'm 58 and I'm here and it feels so good. And I just want to remind people to stop being so preoccupied with other people and other things and trying to be so nice and accommodating that you forget about and you neglect yourself. So Thank you for that. That said, here's another question I want to know. What has interviewing on red carpets and being in journalism to the degree you are now given you that fashion did not?
Oh, wow. Beautiful question. I think that this has shown me a lot of alignment. I don't think there's the relationships have not changed. Because I think I learned how to build and connect with people within the fashion world in many different capacities. I didn't see a lot of people of color in these executive rooms and making the really strong decisions when it comes to money and hiring and all the things. In the red carpet spaces, it's allowed me to bring other people that look like me on the carpet that's never gotten the experience and give them the opportunity to have their first red carpet moment, whether they are a photographer and bring them in and say, hey, shoot, and you put it on your site and you build connections with other photographers. Another journalist, hey, let's play off of each other. I'll let you interview. I interview. I'll let you interview. And it allows your community to be able to gain access. And so for me, there has not been a huge distinction between the two. I think the red carpet has just pushed me in the idea of where my purpose is in this life. Because I think, and I've gotten an overwhelming flow and pour of messages. I remember walking down South Beach and there was somebody I went to high school with and a girlfriend that I was walking down about to grab some food. She's like, this guy is staring at you. And he stopped and was like, Jamir? He was like, I've been watching your Facebook and I'm so proud of you. Like it's a whole new you. And I say that to say there's so many people that don't get to live this second part of their life. And I am in this space now in my mid 40s of saying, wow, brother, you had a great beginning life that the universe and God helped you manifest and you did the work and you built the resume. I'm now going to put you in this new space. All the nuggets that you learned here, I need you to apply those things. Whether it's, and this is the thing that I talked about earlier, those corporate emails that you do send off to a lot of these because I now am in communication with large companies. We got to have these corporate emails because it ain't just a, hey y'all, how y'all doing? Let me get to the carpet. No, it's a, how do we build a relationship? What I can bring from a metric standpoint, and then also what is it that I'm looking from you guys from a financial standpoint, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, those are the things that I think I've learned, but it's now evolving to another level in the red carpet.
Something you said resonates with me, and I hope it resonates with you all as you're listening. This new you, right? The new you is so powerfully important. You also talked about dying, right? Dying to yourself, letting go of the layers and the levels of you that no longer serve the place that you're going, right? I want us to imagine for a moment that you are in your car and you take a wrong turn and your GPS says you've gone off script here, and they reroute you, right? Nobody I would have know of, nobody just sits there and says, I'm not gonna go anywhere. People take the new route to reroute themselves. If you are in your right mind, you do that.
But it's taking the risk though, Mischa, because you got to remember, yes, they reroute you, but Mischa, people are afraid of that reroute. People are so used to the straight direction that they actually put into their phone every single day.
Yeah.
But what happens when there's construction on that route? What happens if that road is closed? Now I have to detour. So now my mind is wonky because now I got to take a risk and now go a whole separate new route. That new route is okay because it's so supposed to happen. The universe didn't create that detour just not to create it.
Right.
It's for you to now follow it and
Exactly.
understand that now there are going to be two different routes that you can now choose from.
Yeah. And you go the place I want to go, because what I want people to understand is the rerouting is not something that we need to fear. We need to start embracing it. And that is what the whole purpose of this podcast experience is to do, to really, really help us to develop the courage to say, I see that roadblock.
Yeah.
I see that detour. I see the hole in that goddamn street. I don't know how I'm going to get around it. My car done broke down. My life has broken down. But what's next? And what's next is a new you. It's the opportunity to take another direction that will introduce you to a new you, a you that you don't even yet know. I'm 58, and the iteration of myself I have recently met is just blowing me away. Like, it has given me so much life and joy to meet this new Mischa, just as much as it's giving you the new joy to meet this new Jamir. And I want people to be okay to say yes to, who is the new me? Yeah. Like, I don't even want to be the same person next week that I was this week. God knows I don't want to be that person next year. So this is an invitation. This is an offering for people to meet a new you, to say, I'm okay with that, and I'm not going to let fear stop me from doing that. Before I lose you, or before we wrap up, I want to talk about something you have mentioned several times in terms of the new you, that's connected to the new you, and its community, its relationships.
Yeah.
Because we don't recalibrate without meeting new people, without having new experiences, without having to let go of some people and having to leave some old spaces, right? Can you talk to us about community and relationship? And because you have recalibrated from North Carolina to New York to DC, you've been able to build community in these spaces, and you've met people who have become long-term friends of yours, right? Even here in LA, folk love themselves some Jamir Smith. Here, like, I love you to pieces, but people love to know you is to love you, to experience you is to love you. Let's talk about these relationships and building community, and understand, regardless of whatever you may have to leave, there's still community you will find on the other side.
Before we talk about community, I think we have to talk about inventory. And you have to do inventory. when you do inventory, it allows you to go back into the people that you knew when you were in middle school, high school, college, and you built a friendship. And at times, those really weren't friendships. Those were we were together during 4 years of our lives, and we built community for those 4 years of our lives. But in addition to, we have to talk about the people that we built outside of school and have served the purpose of what they have served. So there are a lot of our friends in our lives that we are no longer friends. And that means that there is no beef, there's no issue, but the reality is that time has now come to an end. And so for me, I've done a really good job on doing inventory of who belongs in this new version of my life. And everybody's not welcome. And
When do
so
you do the inventory? Do
I
you?
think it's whatever season you are in your life. We all go through different seasons and ebbs and flows. And so for me, the season for me, it was I remember getting into the executive space, and you realize the friends that you think you have are either envious of the salary you make or the position you have, or being sometimes the only person of color in these boardrooms, and others wishing to have that position. And so I think those are moments that you have to turn around and say, you know what? I don't think you're rooting for me like I'm rooting for you.
Mm,
And as people, we've got to do a better job on holding ourselves and our friends accountable. And so getting into community, that means I have an array of different friends: black, white, gay, straight, all of the rainbow and all of the things, and dogs and cats, all of the stuff. But I think the other piece around that is, Mischa, is you have to know who are you willing to invite into your space. And the older that I've gotten, I've realized that I don't need an entourage of friends. In my new space, I love doing things alone. I love being in spaces by myself because, to your earlier point, it allows me to then meet community. It allows me to build. And I've learned building that community, you look to your left and right. You make sure that you give others opportunity the same as they've allowed you opportunity. And I spoke about this at NABJ in Sacramento on a panel about not gatekeeping. And those friends that do gatekeep, those are the people I don't want in my life. But those are the people that I'm glad I know, because I know to watch out for you.
yeah. And that's
And
why I asked you the question of when do you do the inventory?
mhm,
Because I think sometimes we get stuck with that. It's Maya Angelou has the infamous saying, when people show you who they are, believe them.
believe them. Yeah.
Sometimes the inventory takes place because you're going to make a new move and God is calling you to another level of grace and glory. Sometimes you take the inventory because people have shown you that
Hmm.
they're not who you thought they were. And then sometimes, to your point, the inventory has to happen because you are examining where I'm going, who I need as I go, who fits this
Hmm.
place I'm going,
Hmm.
because the person who gossip, who's not trying to grow, and maybe at some point it was okay for you to spend 10 minutes on the phone just listening to them vent and gossip. And now you no longer have an appetite for that. So that's why I was asking around the inventory question, what that's like for you.
I will tell you, I got the new iPhone and it deleted some numbers out of my phone. And I think some of the numbers were people that I had spoken to over a year or 2 years, something like that. I did not stress it, because if I haven't spoken to you in that distance of time, I'm okay. Unless it was someone that meant something to me, then I went back and found that information on an old phone. I think, Michelle, we do ourselves a injustice, or we don't satisfy our own selves when we don't hold ourselves accountable and we give people the opportunity to take advantage of us.
Yes.
And as a friend,
What does that look like when you say give people the opportunity to take advantage of us? I have a sense of what you mean, but for the person listening that's really not sure when they're being taken advantage of and when they are just accommodating people,
hmm
unpack
hmm
that for me.
I think it's a twofold. So, in one aspect, because I'm in the media landscape, there are people, a lot of people will try and take advantage of me because of the rooms that I'm in, and they will want to be in those rooms to whatever capacity to take care of themselves, whatever, to fulfill whatever dreams. The other piece I think around that is if my friends are not serving and challenging me, you no longer need to be a part of my life. And you mentioned something about being on the phone for 10 minutes, da 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 da. I don't even have those type of conversations because as I have evolved, my friends have evolved.
Yeah.
Our conversations have evolved.
Yeah.
Our life has evolved.
Yeah.
And I remember doing a red carpet a couple of weeks ago, and I remember going to the doctor. And as we evolve as people, you get older, you got to get checkups. And it's interesting how, like, when moms have kids and they all want to talk about their children, now it's interesting how my conversations about Black men's health is like top of mind. And I'm talking to all of my friends in our, later 30s, early 40s, mid 40s, almost 50s. Y'all been to the doctor, you got your colonoscopy, you got your chest looked at, you got your blood work, all of those things. And those are the type of conversations. I'm not having reality show conversations, or I'm
Amen.
not having
Amen.
the messiness, right? Because also you have to remember, and I want to end with this, whatever you involve and bring into your algorithm, that's what's going to be a part of you. And my algorithm doesn't encompass any of those things. An algorithm on social media to my personal media, it involves things that feed me and I feed them.
Yeah, and Deepak Chopra famously said, "Karma never forgets an address." And so, like
Absolutely.
you, I'm always mindful of the conversations I'm having, the people I'm entertaining, and
Mhm.
how that feels to my central nervous system. Before we end, I want to close. I'm adding to, or have added to the podcast, the segment called the off ramp, right?
Oh, nice. Okay.
And so it's just 3 quick questions, and they allow, they guide us into the closing of our conversation. And the first one is, when was your most recent recalibration moment, and what did it teach you?
Oh, my most recalibration moment was when I was in Miami and doing 32 interviews. I think I was on interview 15. And I got back to the hotel and I just sat in the bed for a moment. Um and I just took a moment to reset. I took a moment to actually just say, Jamir, you did a really good job. Because I remember meeting the founders again, and then a lot of the sponsors, and building relationships and getting community and all of the things. And so many people just kept coming up to me in the media room and outside, like, oh my God, you've been the flyest one here. But the media team was so impressed by me being such a huge outlet, them saying, you literally cause no issue, no drama. You take up space and then you're out. And I just sat in that room and I just reset and I said, Jamir, you did a good job. Then I got back to editing. But I really did. I took a second to just reset and recalibrate. And I just said, all right, we got to do it again tomorrow. But take this moment for you and just acknowledge the work, the pre-work, and now the on the ground work that you're doing. So
Next question, what in life, this is in life, what recalibration took you the longest to make?
oh, financial. I think as Black people there, and I hate to just always say Black people, but as Black people, there are times that we don't like to talk about money. And when it comes to, if you get a new job and they offer you a salary, there are times that people are like, I'll take it, I got a job. But I think also it's okay to renegotiate. And then in addition to in the media space, whenever you want to do a project and you want to do things, there are times, you and I have had these conversations, but there are times that, yeah, I will help out someone this one time, possibly. It'll help me, it'll help you. That next time, there should be a contract in place. Because I've come to the understanding, and too many people that I follow and people that follow me, everybody has a budget. It could be a $40 budget and you shopping at the Dollar Tree getting, streamers and candy and all of the things. So within that $40, Jameer needs 10 of those dollars to make sure your social media and your interviews and things, happen. And I think those are the things that a lot of people, including myself, it took a long time to, because knowing my worth, I always knew. I think having the money conversations, because, you talked about this a couple of times, the no. And there are times when you have money conversations with people, you don't get a response back. And understand, and I want your listeners to know this, and I'm saying this to y'all and me, it is okay to not get a response back from, projects that you want to be a part of. And I know it sounds great and it's your dream job and you would probably do it for free. Whatever your mindset is, cool. Because I've done a lot of free projects that I think I've been obsessed with and I've done really good work. And I was not paid for it. It is time, whenever you have built that resume well enough, you deserve to be compensated.
Yes.
And so those financial conversations have probably been the hardest for me. And now they've become a little bit easier and softer to have.
Amen.
And as Black people, we have to do a better job because our colleagues don't mind, having these money conversations off the rip. Think of yourself, and I know my therapist says this a lot. Shout out to therapy with Black people. My therapist says this a lot, that it is okay to say no, but it is also okay to walk away from a dream that you've always wanted and, create your own dream.
Yeah. And I will add to what you said, because thankfully it's not just a Black people problem. We know, and you know this, just recently Meryl Streep with Devil Wears Prada 2. When Disney called her and offered her a price, she said no. Flat out, absolutely not. And she had the audacity to recalibrate and say, what you gonna give me is double what you just told me. Absolutely. And guess what? They did not say no. So
they didn't. Hold on. They didn't say no to her. They also didn't say no to the cast.
Absolutely.
Everybody's contracts got
absolutely. So oftentimes what we don't have because we don't ask for it.
Yeah.
And having the courage, again, I keep using that word because recalibrating, resetting, pivoting is about courage, and you have to have it to get where you want to be in life. Last question in the off ramp. You're going to complete this sentence. When I think of recalibrating, I think of
making sure that I take time for me, making sure that I continue. When I think of recalibration, I am literally taking time to invest in my heart. I'm taking time to invest into my future, and I'm taking time to really recalibrate my mind to make sure that I show up as a whole and full person of love and respect and all full blessings. So
something you didn't say that people may not know about you, but I want them to know about you.
Oh God.
In the recalibrating space. And this is also how simplistic recalibrating can be. You take naps.
Oh, I took one before this. Absolutely.
You do not play about your naps, right? Because why? In order to keep your energy where you need to be, you take a nap. And
let me tell you something. Hold on.
Okay.
This is not new.
Mm-hmm.
I had to have a reset moment in high school when I used to get off the bus from school. I used to always, it was like clockwork. I toasted a ham. I can't believe I remember this. I toasted a ham and cheese sandwich and I had some chips and whatever juice. And I sat there on the couch and my mother and father, because either they were gone at work and coming home, whatever. I was on the couch and I took a nap. And so I realized throughout the years, I need a nap. And I don't understand why y'all don't take naps and you drain yourself out. Y'all got it. I do too much. My schedule is packed.
Yeah.
And I know even in Miami, they were like, hey, we're doing this, and this. Out of the 5 things, I did 2. Because within those 2 things, I'm including a nap within that. I don't care if it is a 45-minute nap. And they were like, oh, no, we got to keep going. I said, no, you got to keep going.
Right.
I'm good.
The reason I wanted to bring that up, and we are closing, I wanted to bring that up is because what I really want you all to understand is that sometimes the recalibrations are big life moments, like me and Jamir leaving from where we were to come to LA. And sometimes the recalibration moments is a nap. It is deciding to lay down for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 45 minutes, so that you can get some rest. So the next thing you have to do, you don't show up nasty, mean, evil because you're tired. And now you're bringing all that bad energy to everybody.
Right.
Right? So a nap is also
A
a
nap
beautiful
is
way to
needed and necessary. Hello.
recalibrate. Jamir, I love you. I thank you for joining me here in the recalibration space. And I appreciate you so much. Continued success in everything that you do. And keep on just showing us how to gracefully do what it is we are called to do. Because when I tell you the world is watching you, the world is watching you.
If I can say this, I want to speak for everybody in Baltimore and everybody here in LA. And I know you're traveling to Chicago and so many other places. Um, I was reading a lot of comments about Black women shining.
Mm,
And there's so many people that felt seen. There were so many women that felt appreciated. And if your listeners don't know, this was you have created this Black Women Shining for women to see themselves and to hear their stories and all of the things. And you kicked it off in Baltimore, in your hometown. And I have to say, congratulations for providing space and taking up space, because these are the things that are needed and necessary in especially tough times. But even when times are beautiful, we're making sure that we're creating these stories. And that's why I even created my platform, is to tell the stories of the people that don't often get their
exactly.
moment told.
Exactly.
And you've done a beautiful job with that. Thank you for this show. I think I'm so excited to see how this grows legs, and as you always do, the projects that you are a part of, yourself and your team. So thank you for inviting me. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you.
I appreciate you. Love you.
Love you.
Bye. I hope you enjoyed Jamir as much as I did. And what I enjoyed most about my conversation with Jamir is the sincerity of his heart, right? This idea that he is very, very intentional and cognizant about who he wants to be and why he wants to be who he wants to be, and how he every day is examining that, right? When we talk about recalibrating, that's what it's about. It's about examining where you are in any given moment and deciding, is that where I want to be, right? So his takeaways of meeting a new you, being a new you, deciding that you can do the thing, even if it's something you've never done before. You can do it. You have to believe enough in yourself to do it. And speaking of yourself, you even got to be obsessed with yourself to be able to do it and have the courage to recalibrate as often as life is asking you to. So, again, thank you so much for being here with me today. And I look forward to us being together the next time. See you soon. Bye bye.